Okay, so let's just jump right in. We've all been sold this idea, right, that success is all about the grind, about having more willpower, about just trying harder than everybody else. But if that's really true, why do so many of us feel like we're just spinning our wheels?
I mean, have you ever had one of those weeks? You know the one. You were busy every single day, meetings, emails, tasks, you genuinely worked hard. But when Friday rolls around, you look back and think, what did I actually accomplish? It feels like you're even further behind than when you started. Well, if that feeling is even a little bit familiar, I want you to hear this, because it might just make a lot of things click into place for you. The problem isn't that you're lazy. It's not a lack of discipline. The problem is that the entire approach you've been taught, it was never going to work. The problem is your system.
And this idea leads us right into something called the productivity trap. It's this massive confusion we all have between being busy and actually being productive. You know what I'm talking about, right? When you write make a to-do list on your to-do list just so you can get the satisfaction of immediately crossing something off, yeah, that's not a system. That's basically just performing the idea of work, not really doing it.
So, why does just trying harder almost always fail us? Well, it turns out there are these two powerful, kind of hidden forces that are actively working against you every single day. One of them is internal. It's happening inside your own head. And the other is external, a structure that we've all just inherited without even questioning it. So let's start with that internal force, decision fatigue. See, we tend to think of willpower as some kind of moral virtue you either have or you don't. But that's not what the science says. It's actually a finite resource that gets used up. Every single decision you make, what to wear, what to eat for lunch, which email to answer first, it drains that resource bit by bit.
Think of your willpower like your phone battery. But here's the catch. This battery starts the day at maybe 12%, and there is no charger. So by mid-afternoon, most of us are trying to make important decisions in low-power mode, and then we wonder why we can't seem to focus.
Now for that external force, we are all operating inside a system that was designed almost 100 years ago for a totally different kind of work. Back in 1926, Henry Ford implemented the 40-hour workweek. Why? Because his data showed that for repetitive physical factory work, productivity just fell off a cliff after 40 hours. And we took that number and just applied it to modern creative work, as if thinking up a new idea is the same as assembling a car part.
So, how is that outdated system holding up? Well, not great. A survey of office workers found that in a typical 8-hour day, the average amount of actual, focused, productive work is just 2 hours and 53 minutes. We're overworked and unproductive at the exact same time because the system itself is just broken.
So if willpower is this tiny, depletable battery and the 8-hour workday is an antique, then what's the alternative? Well, this is the big shift. Instead of trying to rely on willpower, you build systems. A system is really just a process you define ahead of time that handles things for you automatically, so you don't have to burn energy thinking about it. This quote from the author James Clear completely changed the game for me. It says, "You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." Think about that. Everybody has big goals, but when your motivation runs out, and trust me, it always does, you don't magically rise to meet your ambitions. You fall back to whatever is easy and automatic. You fall to your systems.
So let's break that down. A goal is the destination. It's the place you want to get to. But a system, that's the vehicle. That's the repeatable process that actually moves you forward, day by day, step by step. A system works even when you're tired or distracted or just not feeling it, because the decision on what to do has already been made. Okay, so this probably sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? Let's talk about building your own personal operating system. And I'm going to give you two really practical, powerful systems you can literally start building today. No ice baths or 4 a.m. wake-up calls required, I promise.
The very first thing to get your head around is this. Your brain is for having ideas, not for holding them. It's kind of like the RAM in your computer. It's amazing for processing things in the moment, but it's a terrible place for long-term storage. Every little task or idea you're trying to remember is like a background app just draining your battery.
So the solution is to build a second brain. The rule is dead simple. If it's in your head, it needs to be captured externally. Every single thing. Your to-dos, your brilliant ideas, your grocery list, it all goes into one single trusted place. This could be a notes app, a physical notebook, whatever. The tool doesn't matter. The point is to get it out of your head and free up that mental RAM so you can actually think clearly.
Now, with all that newfound mental space, you can design a default day.
So instead of winging it every single morning, you decide in advance what a great productive day looks like for you. Maybe it means you work on your most important project for the first 90 minutes before you even look at email. You create these little automatic routines for how you start your day, how you protect your best hours, and how you shut down. You make the big decisions once, so you stop wasting your precious willpower on them over and over again.
And I really want to be clear here, this is not just about cramming more tasks into your day. It's actually the opposite. Building systems is really about designing a life that you are actively choosing to live, instead of just constantly reacting to whatever the world throws at you.
Let me put this in perspective for you. The average person lives about 30,000 days. That's it. That's the whole game. So this isn't about productivity for productivity's sake. It's about making sure your time, your most precious and definitely most limited resource, actually counts for something. You know, a lot of people hear the word systems and they think it sounds rigid, maybe restrictive, but I've found the exact opposite to be true. Structure actually creates freedom. When you have a solid system that handles the basics on autopilot, it frees up all your mental energy and time for the things that really matter: creativity, deep work, being present with people you care about.
So a goal tells you where you want to go, but a system is what actually gets you there. We all get roughly the same number of days, so the real question isn't whether you're going to be busy or not. We're all busy. The question is, how will you design yours?